All right, we're live for Fireside Chat number 118. So as far as stuff going on this week, one thing, and I'll post this in ICER Summit right now, but I'm going to go ahead and close down the ICER Summit tonight. So if you do have last minute stuff you want to push there, feel free. But of course, as always, there's the Fireside Chat anonymous Google form. You can submit topics and questions and ideas. I could always ping or DM me, of course. Show up to Court of the High King, talk to me, etc. You can also reach out to your officers and ask them to bring things up in the all thing as well. Express concerns to them. That's how the chain of command is supposed to function as well. But give me just a minute here. I'm going to make that announcement in text in ICER Summit as well. All right, got that sent out. So I did want to give a thank you to everyone who did contribute to the summit. I think we got a lot of progress made. Got to hear from a lot of different people, which I really like. Um, and yeah, I mean, certainly I appreciate everyone's contributions to that, and certainly a lot of people went very in depth as well, which I appreciate. I think while I don't want to discourage conversation, I do like that format where we just encourage everybody to kind of post big block sort of ideas rather than going back and forth a real long time with like little messages, because it just tends to clog things up a little bit. And I like the big block messages because I can kind of go in. What I'm doing right now is kind of going back and summarizing each point, so I kind of have sort of a bullet list of the points everybody hit on, and then I can kind of go through that and get a feel for how people feel about different stuff and kind of pinpoint specific changes and ideas. But the plan will be to get some of that stuff rolling September here. So we'll let the regular reports and everything finish here. Of course, with some minor changes like reports now go in situation reports. That was changed a little while back, and but yeah, we'll look at further changes there in September as far as updating some different stuff. I'm not 100% on exactly what we'll be doing in total, but I do, to begin with, I do like the idea of emphasizing game channels in our server organization and opening them to everybody. So you still have the player's role, but that way people can actually see the role. Something else I'd like to do that I believe Soullight suggested, I think some others have suggested too. Sorry if I'm forgetting anybody, but it was to have a role assigning bot that you can react. I'd like to do that for the players' roles for sure. I think that'd make things easy. So, yeah. Other than that, let me see if I've got anything else written down that I was going to go through. I do need to reorganize Monolith, but part of that is hanging on till I have these changes in order, since what we have is in there. Well, let me make a note. 1 second here. I wanted to add an intro to WA in laws, just maybe a paragraph or two, because I know that's kind of missing, and it doesn't quite. Yeah, it's kind of the first place you'd look, and there's not really an explanation of what WA is in there, and that's something that's definitely missing. So I'll add that in, and then I definitely want to reorganize Monolith as well. And yeah. Other than that, let's see. Let me read through a couple channels here and just double check if there's anything I did miss that we've been talking about recently. Let's see, all reports and situation reports. Let's see here. Let me look at my quest channel one more time. It's not 100% on naming it quests. I think I like it, but I almost want to put it like to-do list or bounty board or something. I think was something somebody suggested. I'm not sure on that exactly. Sort of trying to find a mix between sounding cool and like a thematic lore sense, and also being obvious to people what it's for. Let's see here. All reports on Discord. I did shift all the forum stuff into the archives on the forums. That is the warband codexes. So we're basically entirely Discord focused in terms of warband documentation right now. I know some people have been requesting for a while. Obviously, I'm very partial to the forums, but I think having it kind of split here, where you put some stuff in the forums, just makes things more disconnected and difficult, and you kind of have to go one way or the other. And it just seems like it's not working to get people on the forums here. I like it still as a recommendation, or a requirement rather, for Warrior. I think it's important to make sure that people are aware of it and pay due respect to our forums. But at the same time, I think requiring the officer paperwork to be there at this point it doesn't make so much sense. So that's why that change is there. And now everything is just Discord as far as keeping track of stuff. Double check. Maybe I'll just read through Acer Summit real quick and see if there's anything I can touch on here. Here's something I mentioned. The need for great companies, and if we might just use YAW rank as the top rank for members and allow warband leaders to achieve it. Yeah, I think that's something some people suggested as well, and I am kind of leaning towards making that change. I think great companies as kind of umbrellas are not achieving too much. It's not like divisions and platoons, or a division might have, for example, I have a StarCraft division had multiple StarCraft platoons, so that's not really something that we have right now, wherein we have multiple platoons on the same game. The closest I could see is something like a League division with multiple platoons, but we just don't have the membership for that, I don't think, depending on how, what your sweet spot is for a particular warband to have. Yeah, I'm not sure, but I think it may just be extra paperwork that we don't quite need, and it might be wise to kind of just consolidate our efforts on individual warbands rather than trying to add a lot more. I don't know that the great companies are really making much of a difference. Yeah, that's kind of my feeling right now. Let's see. Let's see here. RLE, I definitely still have very, very mixed feelings about. I think I've kind of said all I would want to say about it, so I don't know that I really need to get into that too much. I do lean towards keeping it at present. I think, to me, it kind of does what I want it to do. I think the negative is people just refusing to take it, and people discouraging others from taking it. And yeah, I don't know. It feels to me like some of the criticism is because it's just a new thing that WA hasn't been doing. I think the same type of criticism came towards things like roll calls and stuff like that. Whenever they, like a couple years ago when we stopped doing roll calls, when I brought them back, everyone was like, oh, I got to do this. This doesn't make any sense. This is stupid. So I think there is kind of a resistance to just adding hoops to jump through, I guess. But I actually think that RLE serves a lot more obvious of a purpose than roll calls, which I've kind of gotten into a lot, but I don't have too much else to talk about here. So let me think of how I can maybe try to put it more succinctly. I just think it does a good job of ensuring that the people recruiting know their stuff, and I think it ensures, because it's also tied to ranks in terms of whether you have to take it or not, it does ensure that knowledge for officer and higher ranks Berserker Plus as well. It kind of functions as that test, and I personally just like having that sort of filter there. I think there are certain things WA is about, and being more than just hanging out in gaming is one of them, and that's something that I've kind of struggled through with the clan for a long time, because I think we'll continually bring people in, and maybe this is when people are recruiting them, they say, hey, just hang out and just don't be mean, that's all you got to do. And I mean, that's fine, right? But if you do want to take extra steps, like recruiting more people into the clan or climbing the ranks, there are requirements, and that's taking on extra responsibility is what that's doing. And part of responsibility is doing things like taking the exam. And as I've said, it's effectively open book. It's not really very difficult. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think that's just my general feelings on it. So I do feel it has some great benefits, and I definitely am disappointed in the response from some who are required to take it and just kind of dragging their feet or refusing to take it or etc. Um, it just doesn't make much sense to me in the sense of it's quite core to what WA is about, really, and kind of always has been about. Even if, like I said, I think this is something we've struggled with over the years. Is I think people are getting recruited and they're not really being told what WA is. So I think people are kind of growing up in the clan, if you will, with the sense that it's just totally for fun, do whatever you want, who cares? And then they're kind of annoyed or outraged when elements come up that don't fit that viewpoint, that narrative, I guess. So I think that's one thing. I think WA has historically been quite law and order based, and there's been a lot of responsibility placed on people. And the RLE is not required for anybody except Berserker Plus, which is a rank that can lead a warband. You can be an acting Hairseer as a warband. So Berserker is quite a serious rank. And I don't think anybody would argue with a test required for that rank. Of course, the RLE also is a test required to be allowed to recruit on your own without supervision. So, yeah, I mean, at the very least, it's something I've thought about adjusting how the RLE works, making it more clear that it's open book. In the past, I kind of took the approach of not telling people it's open book, but also not, like, punishing people for taking notes or anything like that, because as I've said many times, it's not intended to be a test of your test-taking ability. It's supposed to be a test of your willingness to spend a little bit of time working for the clan and learning about it and demonstrating that you either know the information you should know to recruit or you know where to find it, which are all really, really important things. And I think anybody who thinks that any of those things are bad or doesn't want to do them, I don't know why would want that kind of person bringing in a bunch of recruits into the clan or climbing the ranks. It would not make any sense. It's the basic qualities anyone who is either trying to grow, expand the clan's ranks, like recruit people, or climb the ranks, should have. And I think, cursory knowledge of WA and its history makes that pretty obvious. Anyway, that's just expanding on my thoughts, restating them a little bit on the RLE. Let me jump back through ISO7 a little bit more. There has been suggestions of something we had previously, which was a rank requirement for recruiting. Like a scout can't recruit, but a warrior plus could. That was how it was for a while. I think it's reasonable. It's one of those things where you generally want to have a requirement for how to recruit, and then how to recruit if you don't meet that requirement. So, for example, the RLE, you need one to recruit. You need a recruitment license. Okay. Now, what if you don't have one? Okay, well, here's the process for doing it. Without one, you have to have an exam proctor supervise, and then they report the recruitment to me. So those are kind of the two halves there. And with Warrior Plus, basically the idea was, at one point I believe we had Warrior Plus can help scouts recruit, and then I believe that was changed to Raider or maybe just officers can help Warrior or scouts recruit. So I don't know. It's kind of a question of what should those exact requirements be as well. I'm kind of open to changing the requirements to recruiting without a recruitment license, but yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to get around the core fact that I think the recruitment license does like serve its purpose really, really well, because it just, I mean, I know people hate tests, but there's no way to make sure that people know things and meet requirements without testing them, generally speaking. Like, I can't just like look at somebody and be like, "Oh yeah, this guy knows his stuff." Like, it's not possible to know. I mean, you can say you have to have a conversation with them and test that they know their stuff, but then you're really just doing a test in everything but name. And personally, I like having things that are more official, because if I'm a brand new officer and somebody, I'm like, okay, how do I figure out if somebody meets this requirement? Somebody's like, oh, I just kind of guess, just see if they make it. I'm gonna be like, I don't know how to do that. That's confusing. But if it's standardized and it's like, this is the test, it's literally an exam that they take and they have to get a score and then they're good. I think that makes it much easier. I think when we have very generalized things, it makes it very difficult for people to do their jobs as officers and leaders if everything is very, very just nebulous. They don't know what's going on. They don't know what they're supposed to do. I think there should be clear and obvious things, like something for the RLE. I think it just, like I said, it's very standardized, and I like that. And I think it, yeah, I mean, just kind of restating once again, I think it serves its purpose pretty well. But another thing, let's see. We've talked a lot about fleet versus warbands. I think one thing we'd have to address regardless is how exactly leadership of a given game works. I think my current feeling is that we don't necessarily need to have, say, our head of League of Legends. We can just have however many League platoons or warbands we have, and they each just do their reporting. And one of them doesn't have to necessarily be the leader of League of Legends. If there was something like somebody had to make a decision for an in-game clan on a game or something like that, that kind of seems like something where we could just cross that bridge when we come to it. But I don't know if people have different thoughts on that. But that's kind of my feeling, is that we don't necessarily need... I mean, most in-game clans, we just have somebody leading it, like what World of Warcraft, we got Ulfald leading the clan, right? Does that mean that, what are we going to do if like somebody else, a higher ranked officer comes in? Or I don't think it matters, really. We just have, some WA member leading the in-game group. Logically, you would want people who are leading the effort on a game to be in command of that group, but I think beyond that, it's not necessary to make it more specific or micromanage it further. Let's see. Yeah, I don't see too much. There's certainly more stuff I can dive into, but maybe we can save that for court. So go ahead and sign off here, and I will see everybody for court later. If not, Fireside Chat, of course, next week, Thursday, standard time. And also apologies for last week. Of course, we were off, but back on schedule now.